So I was watching this TED talk by this guy. This is this English scientist, really long beard, really kind of smart, witty guy. He gave a TED talk 5 years ago, and I had watched it back in the day, but just tonight I watched it again, and it got me really excited about, following a plant-based vegan lifestyle. This is why. He was talking about how if you extended your life only by a couple of years, did whatever you needed to do, well, this is why it's so important to just live that little bit longer. If you lived just a couple more years, you have a chance of, you have a better chance than anyone else did in human history of living forever. Forever. Now, how could we live forever? I mean, now there's no technology. There's been no breakthrough. There hasn't been much. People are still, the food pyramid's still suggesting that we have meat and dairy in our diets. I mean, obviously the breakthrough is not now. It's probably not in the next 10 years. But if you look at technology, I mean, take the smartphone, for example. Thing is more powerful than a huge computer was 10 years ago, 5 years ago even. And I have this MacBook Air I'm using. This thing is light as a feather. I had this big clunky PC thing, just 5 years ago. So, like the way Moore's law, the way that these processor speeds are just increasing exponentially. Look at flight. Wright brothers taking off from a field. 10 years later, they had 20 years later, sorry, the first transatlantic flight. Then they had 20 years after that, they had the first commercial flight. Then, just a decade or two after that, they had a supersonic flight. I mean, these breakthroughs happen so fast. So if you can just live that extra 5, 10 years, you could hit one of these breakthroughs that will let you live even longer. And you'll be there for the next breakthrough that will let you live even longer. And maybe they'll find something where they could just replace your body parts, or they inject something into your cells to make them so your metabolism doesn't cause any damage, and there's no side effects of aging. It's probably going to come some phytonutrients they pull out of a plant somewhere. So when that day comes, we can do it. Maybe we can live forever. Maybe not. Maybe it's far-fetched and you just live an extra 10, 20 years, 30 years even. But the idea is people say a lot of times, my grandfather, he was 85 years old when he died. And he lived a long life, and he smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, and he ate meat, he ate Spam every day. But we all know that it's hard to say. The risk of following a plant-based diet, you're going to live an extra 5, 10 years. At the end of the day, you're definitely going to have a higher quality of life. It's not that dramatic. It's not like, oh, you're going to live 30 extra years or 20 extra years if you follow a vegan diet. I don't believe it. I really like the benefits of this lifestyle. I think it's amazing health benefits. But another 20, 30 years, I mean, maybe if you were unlucky and you ate a bunch of animal products, you're extremely overweight, and you had a heart attack at 50 years old, then, maybe the vegan diet might have done something for you. But for the most part, even people who are relatively unhealthy, they're going to live to be 65, 70 years old. And with all these pills and stuff that they have going around, they're going to live a decrepit lifestyle in a nursing home, probably until they're 75 years old. And then they're going to, be on their way. But this guy, Dr. Robert Lockhart, 68 years old. I saw him at Woodstock Fruit Festival documentary. He's doing handstands. He's on his hands, walking for like 10 minutes at a time. So what's the secret? He says, oh, I've been following a plant-based, raw, vegan diet for the last 30 years. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, you're doing handstands at 68 years old. Most people can't even walk up a flight of stairs when they're 68 years old without being super out of breath. So, I mean, it can happen. It can happen. You are going to live an average of 10 years longer if you follow a vegan lifestyle. I mean, there's studies to prove it. Take the Seventh-day Adventist study. That study's been going on for, a couple of years. Try half a century. And it's still going on. And the results that come out of that study is that vegetarians live an average of 10 years longer. They're not doing vegans there; they're doing vegetarians. But these people aren't smoking or drinking either, so that there's that added benefit. But peer-reviewed journals have agreed on this study that it's a valid study, and the average is about 10 years. School of Public Health, Harvard, they're saying that processed meats, red meats, and processed meats, they're going to give you a higher chance of having a heart attack, getting heart disease, or getting diabetes, or developing cancer. So the studies are there. You're going to live longer following a vegan diet. And how exciting is it if you just live that 10 years longer, that you haven't done that much damage to your body, you haven't kick-started that aging process with those animal products, and you are there for that breakthrough. I mean, I might be crazy, I might be overreacting, but I work in technology, and I see how this stuff works, and I see how easy it is if you just can latch on to this and just be there on time for that particular technology to come out. You get lucky, and you can integrate that into your workflow. So it's really important to be on top of the newest technology, and the way you do that with medical technology is that you live longer. So people just don't think, oh, my grandfather lived smoking a pack of cigarettes till 85, so I'm gonna do that too. Like, wake up, live that extra 10 years, and maybe you'll live a long time after that just by catching that. All right, that's my thoughts. Thanks. Pleasure vegan.